Good morning, Holman High School students. Mr. Piersma here, and I hope that you are having a wonderful Wednesday. This morning, we have a lesson on note-taking strategies and why taking notes is so important and useful. Your learning targets will be, I can develop an organized system of note-taking to improve my learning and academic performance, and I can use note-taking strategies to reach my academic goals. At the end, you will scan a QR code to reflect on your own note-taking practices. I'm going to present a decent amount of information, but I do believe it'll really help you in the long run. So let's get started. You might be asking, why should I take notes? Most importantly, note-taking helps you learn and remember information. Studies on learning and note-taking have shown that the act of encoding information into words or pictures forms new pathways in our brains, which stores information more firmly into long-term memory. Note-taking improves your ability to focus. It is also a helpful tool for studying for tests or completing a summative project. So review your notes regularly to get the most out of them, such as before the class period starts. You can use them to make up sample test questions or even turn them into digital flashcards. Notes also help you organize relevant information, what you really need to know. Finally, it's a skill that will pay off in college or in the workplace. Are you used to your teacher handing out outlines or posting their PowerPoints onto Canvas? That's not going to be the case in college, as it will all fall on you. Learn the art of note-taking now to give yourself a leg up at the next level. To further understand the importance of note-taking, it's important to consider how we learn. Visual learners learn best by taking in information from maps, diagrams, pictures, and charts, and using that information to form patterns and relationships. Auditory learners learn best when they hear or speak information. Kinesthetic learners prefer learning by doing and hands-on experience. Reading and writing learners learn best when information is in words via text and when they can write. Which learning style best describes the manner in which you learn? Regardless of your preferred learning style, properly taking notes reinforces multiple ways to remember and think critically about information. It combines different learning styles to maximize your synthesis of info so that you can apply your knowledge later. Let's begin on how to take notes. Note-taking starts with how we engage with content, and we do that either actively or passively. Active listening occurs when we think about what we hear, ask questions, and make connections. Have you ever read a book that you can't put down? You make inferences and guess the ending. That would be an example of active listening. Passive listening occurs when we hear without really thinking about what is being said. Have you ever read a few pages in a textbook and then realized you do not remember anything that you just read? That is passive listening. It can happen intentionally or unintentionally, and it can even happen while you are taking notes. Fortunately, you can practice active listening to improve your ability to understand information and apply it. To practice active listening, ask questions. Whether you are listening to the teacher speak, reading a text, or watching a video, write down questions that engage your brain in critical thinking. Don't just hear or read the content, but think and question what you are learning about. One example is to consider a KWHL chart. These are questions you can use before you read a text, such as, what do I already know? What do I want to know or learn? And how will I learn it? When finished taking notes, you can bring your ideas, thoughts, and questions together by summarizing what you learned. Summarizing allows your brain to synthesize the information that you just took in, relate it to your previous knowledge, and store the new information in your long-term memory. Summarizing is like taking what you learned and locking it into a safety box for later use, such as a test, as opposed to passive listening in which you aren't able to remember anything you just learned about. While taking notes, continue to write down questions you have about the content to engage your brain in critical thinking. You can use these active questions for class discussions or find answers with a little more research to extend your thinking. Active learners ask questions to learn content and think critically. These types of questions are a good first step to being a problem solver and preparing yourself for college or work after high school. Here are a few examples. Why did the Allied powers not intervene sooner during the Holocaust? How can I use persuasive writing in my own life? Is a 401k or a Roth IRA a better long-term investment? What are the essential elements of a research-based proposal? What you take notes on is also important. You want to focus on the important details and main ideas. You don't have to write everything down because that would be impossible and your brain won't retain all of the information. To focus on the important details while reading, look at text that is written in bold or italics, key vocabulary terms, and headings. Pay attention to topic sentences, thesis statements, themes, and visuals. While listening to a teacher lecture or watching a video, consider the lesson's posted learning targets, visual supports that are used, connections with past concepts learned, equations or other applicable knowledge that could be used on a test, signal words or phrases such as there are four main concepts, or cues from the teacher such as, hey guys, this is important. Also, you can use abbreviations to be conscious of getting more information recorded. You won't be able to write everything, but studies have actually shown that more notes, the better. Perhaps the most important part of note taking is developing a system that works for you. Whatever system you choose, be consistent with the way you structure your notes. Your note taking system should be organized in a way that you can easily refer to it in the future. They should include a subject title, topics or subtopics, definitions, and even illustrations are good too. The more organized and easy to read, the more useful your notes will be for future studying. Next, I will give you some examples of note-taking that may work best for some subjects more than others, as the subject may dictate how you take your notes. Here's an example of someone's notes with a subject title, topics, definitions, and illustrations. Notice how the spacing is very methodically organized. It's easy to read, and it will be great for studying later. A common note-taking system is the Cornell system. Notice the bottom portion allows you to summarize what you learned. As stated earlier, summarizing allows you to synthesize the information. In other words, it connects to your past learning and allows you to retain the information long term. The Cornell system also offers flexibility with a cue column. Here you can include topics, subtopics, visuals, and questions that you have about what you are learning. The Cornell system is very effective. Another useful system is characterized by outlining. You might find it useful to have a system that is color coordinated. This system can work well for organizing topics and definitions and visual illustrations such as graphs. Outlining makes it easy to review your notes when studying for a test. Outlining can be time intensive, so you may find it easiest to color code your notes at a later time, such as advisory or study hall. Stay consistent with any note-taking method, but especially if you go with the outlining method. You can also make your own visual notes, such as a Venn diagram when comparing two different things, or other illustrations that visualize relationships between concepts. Even if you elect to go with the Cornell or outlining system, mixing in visual components is still very useful. Consider using other visual note-taking strategies, such as a concept map that works excellent for complex aspects of a major topic. Main topic mapping operates like a flowchart and allows you to organize key details of topics for an easy-to-read studying tool. Making your own concept maps and using maps with topics are both useful note-taking tools for visual learners. Finally, one last note-taking strategy is the two-page spread. Two-page spreads are very useful for notes on a text that you have just read, and teachers may ask you to do one to prepare for a class discussion. Perhaps the best thing about a two-page spread is that there is no right way to complete one. and you can organize a 2-pager as you see fit. To make one, take notes on information that you think is important and show evidence of your thinking. For example, in a language class, you might take notes on character development and what you think will happen next in the story. 2-page spreads can be difficult because you have to decide what information is important. But they are a great note-taking tool to develop your critical thinking skills and can be a lot of fun if you are artistic. Regardless of how you take notes, remember that it is important to ask questions to actively engage with what you are learning about. Taking effective notes is an important tool for understanding what you are learning about, and it is a skill that will serve you well into your future. Here's a recap on what we learned today. Note-taking helps you focus and organize important information. Note-taking utilizes multiple learning styles and allows you to synthesize information to store it in your long-term memory. Active listening is way more effective than passive listening. Asking questions is the first step to effective note-taking. Focus on the important details. And lastly, develop a note-taking system that works for you and stay consistent. Notes matter, so be noteworthy. Thank you for your willingness to learn why note-taking is important and useful. And hopefully now you have a better idea of how to take notes and some strategies that you can use. Go ahead and scan the QR code for a short reflection on your own note-taking practices. Thank you and have an awesome day.